all three books make up a trilogy. And the reason that I wrote the books was really my motivation was to educate while entertaining. By that I mean that the genre is historical fiction and the history is spot on, accurate history. However, the fictional portion are the characters that came out of here, which depict what's happening during this era. The era is 1847 through 1887. The first book, Why, starts off the trilogy by explaining the conditions of slaves and their masters during the antebellum South in the United States, and how the different societies not intermix, that's a bad word. That describes something that I don't want to get across, but intermingle or exist together. The life of a slave in the antebellum South, okay? And the main characters of Why, the novel Why, are two sisters, one black, one white. The white girl's father is the owner of the plantation, and he owns more than 100 slaves, and the black girl, Mandy, is the daughter of a black slave woman and the white girl's father, the owner of the plantation. In a nutshell, I'm skipping lots of volume. It's a lengthy novel, but both the girls grow up together, and they're very, very tight, if I can use that word. The white girl is taught by her mother the basics, and the white girl in turn teaches the black girl, her sister, who in this part of the book does not realize that she's the sister. She teaches the sister everything that her mother taught her. I say that now to emphasize that for a slave to be literate before the close of the Civil War, in fact, before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, was against the law. Okay, the father finds out that the black girl can read and write, that she is literate. This means that he has a slave who has broken the law, and he, as a staunch believer in the institution of slavery, does not want to harbor a slave on his plantation who's literate. So he threatens to sell the slave, to sell the slave and her mother. Okay, that's just a tidbit of the first book. The second book, E Pluribus Unum, is Latin. The title is Latin. And E Pluribus Unum is translated into From Many One. And I chose that title to emphasize that this country, the United States, is built on and is based on the contributions of many, many ethnicities. E Pluribus Unum emphasizes that portion of our culture, of the American culture. It emphasizes the culture of the Comanche Indians, the Plains Indians. And when I say culture, I'm not really talking about the warlike culture that we're all familiar with as they defended against the soldiers. I'm talking about the cultures, the everyday culture, especially of the Comanche women. I have such respect, enormous respect for Comanche women. Third, because I know it's getting lengthy here, the third book is entitled Precious, and it has a subtitle which is Precious, which is in His Sight. And Precious in His Sight deals mostly with the same characters. Remember, this is a trilogy. The same characters, some of the same characters. Of course, during this long span, some died, new characters were introduced, etc., etc. But this is mostly concentrating on President Ulysses S. Grant's peace policy with the Plains Indians, those Indians who were resisting the federal government's, I hate to say this, but taking over of their land. So in essence, it tells about the peace proposal whereby, with good intention, the United States government, with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, mandated that all Indian children, all Native American children, be removed from the reservation, and they were shipped off to eastern, northern, even to Canada, to residential Indian training schools. And the idea was to assimilate them into the American culture. But a part of that assimilation meant the total destruction of their heritage, of their society. They were stripped from their names. Children from the ages of 4 to 15 were just taken away. They were not allowed to go back and visit. There was no such thing as a spring break until they were forced to give up their name. They gave up their religion. In essence, they gave up their culture. Then, at the end of this trilogy, I bring all of these forces together, and the people who were main characters or supporting characters, some supporting characters, during this whole time frame, which spanned almost 40 years. So that's it. The idea of the novels is basically to educate, to show you what really happened, and to do that by entertaining you. All of these books can be found on Amazon, and my website address is booksbymarvinblake.com, and you'll get a full of me and also of my work. And if you use YouTube in the search bar, just put my name, Marvin Blake, and a whole new world will open up to you about me, my history, and my books. My message is that through reading these books, you get a better understanding of the fictional characters, the everyday characters, who again are fictional. The events, such as obviously the Civil War, the Grant's peace plan, the Homestead Act, things like that. Those are accurate. Those are historical. But my plan is, as I said before, I'm hoping that it will assuage or some of the thoughts that you had about how a slave living during slavery felt about being enslaved, as opposed to the what's often portrayed as happy, contented slaves, people who were satisfied with their plight. I want you to know, actually, from things that were told to me by my parents, by their parents, about how slaves really saw 4 million people enslaved, how they saw their plight, and as they saw no escape for themselves or from their children or their children's children on until eternity. So that's really what I'm trying to get across.